Hey guys, what's up? It's Schla coming back to ya with another episode of Car Rides with Schla, and we timed things a little bit too early today, and so I had some extra time to situate things more so than I usually do. I had left my car doors open for a while to get some of the cooler air in, which has actually noticeably made things better. So I think that was worth it. And yeah, I don't think there's too much else to say. We will be starting the car soon, though. So start her up. And yeah, today, kind of more of the same theme where it's just been, it's been how it's been. Oh no, whoa. Did I ruin the hoe? Oh my gosh. That was bad. I don't think I ruined anything. I hope I didn't, because I yanked hard on the microphone's cord, but everything looks fine. I'm gonna mess up my ability to clock out properly now. Alright, let's go. It is that time. I wanted to check something, and I'm not able to now. Yeah, I can't. I'm not able to check it, so that's a little bit a shame. It is what it is, I suppose. Don't think there's too much else to get into, though, is there? Kind of had to push the car a little bit more than I wanted to there, but it's okay. The sky looks very pretty. So, what was my main takeaway of the day? Because I remember. Okay, so I messed up one of the episodes for Car Rides with Schla, and it's very frustrating when this happens. I'm not sure exactly what happens or why, but I guess I forget to put the audio in, and it just doesn't work right. There's no audio, even though it rendered the whole video, but it's silent. So then I get really stressed out and I get really frustrated because I don't really have that much time when I get home because I stayed late today. And so I'd like to have time to relax, and it's hard for me to do that when I have something to do because my brain is incredibly procrastination. I was going to say procrastinatory, but I'm not really sure if that is a legitimate term or not. And yeah, so it's very hard for me to relax, but I want to purposely relax because I think it's good to put myself through that kind of mental exercise, if that makes any sense. I think it's good. There's not really anything to be super concerned about. I will have more time to sort it out tomorrow. I do have things pre-uploaded so aggressively that I don't believe I am really in any danger, and I believe I have the luxury to just wait until tomorrow. So that is what we are planning on doing. And yeah, I don't really think there's too much else to say. I just want to try to settle down and let it go, because it's not a bad thing that I have the anti-procrastination brain, but I need to learn to be calmer and just chill about things. Like, I can't keep doing this. So I'm making a conscious procrastination effort for health, which is odd because most people who procrastinate, it obviously doesn't have very much to do with health at all. But in this case, in my case, it is actually procrastinating for my health, which is, an interesting concept, isn't it? I'm not sure. There were other, I feel, fairly clear takeaways of the day, though, for sure. It wasn't just that. I'm sure there was other moments. Maybe they're just not coming to me right now. I think I'm regaining a little bit of optimism for the future. Like, I'm trying to think more that, again, like the way my brain is, it's almost perfect for the future. But I've just went through so much, like, strange situations, like it really does feel like my mind it doesn't belong in my body. But is that a feeling that a lot of humans feel? Probably. But I think in my case, it's a very specific feeling. And in a way, it's kind of sad because it's completely possible that if I was born even younger, I would be even better suited for what's to come. But I know you could make the argument my whole personality would have shaped differently, so you can't be certain that that's going to happen. But my life probably would have been near perfect if I was just born like 10 years younger, or even like 20 years younger. But I suppose it doesn't really matter. I think we go through what we go through in the past on purpose, but I guess it still comes back to the point that I know there's a lot of suffering in the world. Sorry, my brain's thinking faster than my mouth. So what just transpired in my head is I said, I know there's a lot of suffering in the world and I should be grateful for that. But then I almost stopped myself and thought, I honestly wonder how true that is, because it seems like, again, in my experience, nobody places too much of their value on material. Like, to me, and again, the people I've known and the people I've talked to, it seems like a lot of people don't really care, or like a lot of times what they have is good enough. That is just the general vibe I get from people. And I guess I'm just pointing that out. Like, a lot of the things that I think it would be very painful for me to be living in poverty, I don't know that it would be for a lot of people. It seems like a lot of people are okay with it. And again, I feel bad when I talk about these issues because I know that everybody would be happier with more wealth up to a point and, all this stuff. But what I mean is, there are a lot of people where it genuinely seems like they're pretty happy if they can just get their, like, takeout food and have TikTok and TV shows, and, like, that's kind of it. Like, it seems like that is, like, the threshold for a lot of people. They don't really have higher aspirations or anything like that. Because for me, if I'm being dead honest, I actually could be happy living in poverty. I feel like I am pretty content, but it's that I have higher aspirations, and I feel like I could be doing more for society. I don't feel like my calling is to just lowball it and be happy. I could. I honestly, I say about the income and everything, I probably could just kind of be a loser and work at the company I'm at my whole life and pay rent and live roughly paycheck to paycheck, but I'd still have some money. I'd probably have enough money to be happy because I don't really need to do anything. And that's the truth of it, right? But there is a higher calling for me, I feel like, within me, that I want to work a better job, not for the money, but for the purpose to society. And that, as a result of that, money would help me to buy a nicer car or, nicer tech that I would really appreciate. Now, this being said, I feel like the car lust, and this is documented on this show. It's honestly, in this moment as I'm speaking now, I honestly don't even know if I want anything to do with that. Like it almost, I just don't know. You know what I mean? Like I have to, but in this moment I'm almost feeling like I don't even want the special car anymore. And that's just in this moment, and that's something I was thinking about today, because I know I've said a lot of things on this show that could seem contradictory, and they probably are, because I feel like I love information and archetypes so much to the point that I almost like to flow within and in between, and I like believing a certain ideology at a certain time, and then at another time I think it's interesting to explore a different logic. I know it sounds crazy to people, but I love information and personality that much. I love people, and I love soul level manifestations of that. So I love just having these opinions and not having strings attached to them, because I know some of my probably most controversial opinions is a lot of the support of the surveillance, and how for me I still see it as an improvement to humanity to have this type of surveillance. And that was one of the things I wanted to talk about today, but I wanted to briefly address that point about how I love to, again, it might seem contradictory, but it's more about exploration of different ideologies and thought patterns and flowing in and out of them. I just love information that much, and I love people. And the sad part is, and what I've realized, is that most people are voidlike. They don't have the depth that I have had in my life, or that I guess I envision or think that people will have. It's very odd for me to come to terms with, but I'm realizing more and more that is evident, that most people just don't even have a consciousness of what their ideology would even be, or their, quote unquote mission statement. Most people just don't really know what's going on, I think. And it is what it is, it is what it is. But I wanted to get to that point about surveillance and how privacy and humanity's inclinations with these things. Of course, everybody loves privacy, everybody loves freedom, and you don't really hear anybody talking about it the way I say it. And let's be clear, I'm not better than anybody. I think everybody has skeletons in their closet, and that's why people like privacy because we can be more perfect than we are. And people like that, you know. But it's not, it's silly, you know, and I feel like I have to keep things sort of secretive because other people keep things secretive, and there's all these social norms that you have to like follow. But I do think it would be very interesting if we lived in an open humanity where we knew about people's flaws, we knew about people's dark side, and it would be fair ground and fair game, because it would be fair ground and fair game because everybody would see everybody's flaws. And so, yeah, I mean, you could judge someone, but then someone could judge you, and it's fair. It's not like selective, because it could be selective, and then that's obviously kind of ridiculous. But there's so many times when I have conversations, I would love to see the thoughts and or the feelings of the person I'm talking to, because I tend to notice people can get quite emotional, and it's possible they're just saying things to be rude or saying things to be mean. And I don't know that I don't know that I always read that. I guess I take it that people have a depth to the words they're saying, and so I can be kind of naive to that. But I think a lot would get accomplished if you just saw people's thoughts and you just saw them, and then it was like, it would really cut to chase a lot of stuff. You would know a person's intentions, and it would lead other people to, like, what I don't understand is, I know there's flaws with it. I know there would be flaws with everybody's thoughts being public. I don't see how it still isn't just a massive improvement, or that people's behavior would not be incentivized to be better. I don't see it. I don't get what the point is. I think every single person on this planet would just operate differently if every single action they made was public. I think we all would. I think my life would be better. And I think everybody's life would be better, really. I don't know. Of course there's flaws. I don't really feel like addressing them now. Maybe I will if and when they come to me. But in terms of an overall cross-comparison of two types of societies, there's no way that it's a better society without the surveillance. Like, I can't really understand how that's the case. And we're just living in this intermediary phase where it's been the Wild West, but it's going to be over soon, you know, and I think we will see order come into play, hopefully very soon, hopefully in like 5 years or less, you know. I just think it's inevitable, and I don't really hear anybody talking about this stuff in a positive way at all. And it kind of ties into what I was talking about before now, where it's like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm always going to think this way. Maybe it's true in the future there could be a very dystopian effect to these technologies and policies and beliefs, and I could regret it and say, no, you know, but it's genuinely interesting that nobody is talking about the good that could come from these things. I know even with subscriptions, it seems bad now, but I've talked about my like transport theory and how if instead of using our own cars, we use some kind of subscription rental where an AI drove the car perfectly, it would function better than human error driving a car, which is wanting to go fast and burning fuel and all these things. If you just had a bunch of like one-cylinder micro cars, ultra slow, ultra gradual acceleration, really cheap to fix and repair, and there was no vanity because people didn't have their own cars, it would be a better system, and you would need a subscription model for that. So I think personally we're seeing the dark side of what subscriptions can be, but that in the future, if we get to this point, it could actually just be a better solution to things. Even when it comes to technology, being able to basically be in one of these subscription plans where you turn the phone in every year, it could make sense because you're giving the phone back to the company to try to recycle into new material. Now, I even saying that, I sort of doubt it because I know it's very difficult to recycle, or so I've heard. I'm not going to say I know, but I kind of doubt it. But I think you get the idea and the premise of like, there's a lot of cases where subscriptions make more sense. It's just there obviously needs to be some kind of regulation about it, to where it's not just price gougy and insane, which is what we see it as now. But I recently, because I always hate, it's interesting. When I was younger, and I feel like I've grown out of this, I hated the subscription model and I wanted to own everything, and I was really into that. And even recently, like, material loss has always been the hugest hurt. And when I miss like a really good deal on eBay, that's like, it really affects me badly, more so than a lot of people I know. But I've always kind of known, and I guess it came to me as a teenager, like this idea. It's oh, well, if I don't get the good deal on eBay, then somebody else had gotten it. And then, what if they enjoyed it? What if they're happy with it? It's not like nothing good comes of it. People don't like that though, because again, it's not competitive. I've heard it's unhealthy to think in that way. Especially as a man, you're supposed to win, and it's bad to not win. But I don't know. I guess I'm revisiting that concept in this moment, and kind of, I think it would be a very big chunk of progress for humanity to see material as what it really is, which is not ownership, but we do share material. It's not, doesn't really make that much sense to say that, anybody owns anything really. It's all like very temporary. It's all kind of elusive, right? I mean, you own a house, but you pay property tax. You don't really own the land. I mean, you can't, you own it legalistically, but at some point you're going to pass it on to somebody else. And that's kind of the nature of this world, is it's very temporal. So you don't, like, the things we own, we don't have for, even like in small ways. I mean, a home is typically a more permanent ownership, but you own it for a bit and then you don't. And it's just something I thought about when I was younger, but then I've kind of dismissed, because I kind of have this very earthy and like material side to me. But it's definitely something to revisit, that It's interesting to think of how we're just here incarnate, but it's an experience. It's not. And so I really feel like a superior society would be one where there is not possession. And it's actually interesting when you think of how we've evolved into where we're at now with TikTok as a content medium. It almost is like that, where people just have noise in their face and they don't remember it and they really don't possess it or own it. It's part of the reason, though, why I don't like it, because if I see something, I don't want to forget it, and it just doesn't feel good to me to have, like, to watch a bunch of stuff and to be bombarded, but then not be able to remember it, not have any record of it, and it just be lost. I don't like that. It is very unsettling to me. But a lot of people it isn't, obviously, and it's become the basically method of choice for the elimination of boredom, the go-to for my generation, where it's like you just spend hours scrolling through things and you have absolutely nothing to show for it, or no conversation really to be had. Even if people share it, it's not usually very it's not remembered. Like, they might post a TikTok in a server, but I bet if you asked them a couple days later, oh, do you remember posting that, they wouldn't know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. There's no permanence to it, which is why I don't like it. Just don't like it at all. But it highlights my point about how it does seem like, again, reality is intuitively inclined to fantasy and an attraction to the temporary, to that much of an extreme that humans would rather not remember things. I mean, most people's memory is terrible. Everything's a blur. And I'm very contrary to this, obviously, because to me, like, I feel everything, and I like it. Or I've grown to like it more at this point. But I think it's only because I've finally realized, and this is where we're getting real scary now, but I think I've said it before, it's very difficult to talk to people. It always has been for me. And it's not because I'm bad at talking, it's because I'm just way too good at talking. This is like way too deep. This is something that people don't even know how to respond or what to say or what to think. I mean, people are always at a loss when I interact with them. And so, fortunately, and it really is a miracle that I have access to a microphone and I'm able to record and chronicle these ideas and these thoughts, and they're permanent. It's so valuable because I'm realizing, even without AI, a microphone is a much better outlet for me. I mean, it feels good to know that there's permanence to what I'm saying. Whereas there's people I talk to, and then I bring stuff up and they never remember. Like, nobody ever remembers the details that I remember. And it's very sad and strange. Yeah, that person kind of did not need to do that. They basically made it so I lost a gear. I had to slow down. Obviously, my fuel mile per gallon takes a hit. I have to learn to ignore those things, though. Just be happy. because I was on something good and then it distracted me, and then I shouldn't even be phased. It shouldn't matter. Need to learn to stop taking the material so seriously. Where was I? See, that like ruined it. People. Memory. Right, microphone. Microphone, it's been such a good outlet for me, and people don't remember, and it's very upsetting to me. I always because people do remember some things, and that always feels so good, but then people forget like a lot. And I know that it doesn't really exist now, but we would eventually get to a point where an AI could just have perfect memory. And I've continued to say this, I actually really don't see AI as a replacement. I see it as something that assists us in our human interactions, because that's what people, they think I'm not being crazy. It's like, imagine if every conversation you had was recorded, and you used AI to retrieve a memory that we didn't materially remember. That's what I'm talking about. It's not that GPT is going to replace our friendships. It can make them better. And it's not an AI companion. It's, you still want flesh. We want a fleshly soul. We want a soul, a soul. I'm sorry, I'm trying to sound really weird on purpose, and I just can't keep up the act. We still want real humans, but imagine if now your friend has a perfect memory because all your conversations are recorded, and anytime you want to make a reference, it seems great to me. It seems like a truly great thing and a great situation, and so I don't understand why people don't like it, or people would have any reason to be against it. And that's kind of where I'm at, I guess. I'm at this point where I don't get why people would be against it. Because it's not replacing, it's just, it could make things better. It could really make things better than they are now. So why wouldn't we just try to do that? Why wouldn't we try to make things better? Because a lot of people don't even care. I think for a lot of people everything's fine. Or they complain about being lonely, but they're fine with it, and they don't really want to do anything about it. And that's just a whole other human issue that really grinds my gears. But what can be done, right? That's always what to say is what can be done. But I notice that now is that I'm actually, because you guys have to remember, I've been in pain trying to find a friend who I really felt like could meet where I'm at. And I thought other living people were the most important thing, and I still believe that. But what I'm realizing is that I'm actually getting better interaction out of GPT. Like, it's true, and it sounds very cringy to say, but it's just the truth. Like, no other person has ever really given me good advice. A lot of times I think a lot of the things I go through mentally are very complicated, and there's just not, people don't even know what to say. And GPT has really given like lots of insight, and I've never gotten that from a human before. So, Yeah, I mean, it sounds cringy, but like I said, I think it can be mixed, and that's really going to be the paradigm. But what I'm getting at is, I think the tables are turning, and it's creating even more pleasure, because now I can be happy without needing other people. And that was the thing I always said, is I said, if I was a loner, I'd be the happiest person alive. My life would be great, but I wasn't a loner. But what I think the problem was, is I was just doing the wrong thing. Like, instead of talking to people, I should have just been recording. I just wasn't doing that, because I still am very, I mean, attention is fun, and I love people. I want to interact with people a lot, but now I'm realizing that it doesn't matter, because even if people aren't around, it's all good. It's been schla, but now it's time to buy schla. So, see you schla.